It's Friday. Sorry about that. I was having a connection problem, but that's how things go sometimes. I want to welcome everybody that's joining us for our activism series. As I'm sure you are all aware, we have an election coming up. And, you know, we talk about the elections, and sometimes I like to focus on not only the presidential elections, but the importance of our local elections. And so we're going to have some local people coming in to talk to us. And first up, we're going to have Belinda T. Harris, Bold, Tough, and Honest. She is joining us right now. And we're going to talk to her a little bit about... Hello there.
Hi.
How you doing?
Look at me. I'm on Instagram Live. I'm good. How are you?
Good to see you. It's been well, not too long. I saw you last week.
Right. You seen me last week?
But I haven't seen you nearly enough.
Right. I would agree with that.
So it's good to see you, and thank you so much for joining us and taking time to come and talk to the youth. I know you've been doing a lot of outreach and a lot of events trying to engage youth in our community. And I wanted to have you on because there's a lot of judicial candidates running for office in this race. So much emphasis on the president and the presidential elections, but we also have some really important ballot initiatives coming up. That's a good reason to vote. All the judges like yourself. And I just wanted to talk to you a little bit and get your opinions on some things. But before that, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and just let us know how you got into this work. What's been your journey? Because you've got a pretty incredible story, too.
Okay, everybody. My name is Belinda T. Harris, and I am a Chief Deputy Public Defender here in Clark County. I am actually a career public defender. I've been practicing law for about 14 years. I am also currently a candidate for North Las Vegas Justice Court Department number 3, which is a judge's seat here in North Las Vegas. So it's a limited jurisdiction court in a limited jurisdiction area. So if you do not live in North Las Vegas, you cannot vote for me, but you can pump my name and send me good vibes and energy and love. I am a Las Vegas native who grew up in North Las Vegas, and at a very early age, I could tell that things weren't the way that I thought they should be. And so at a very early age, I decided that I wanted to be a lawyer. And I knew that I would probably be a public defender. And one of the reasons I was going to be a public defender is because growing up in the neighborhood, you've seen people not being treated right and getting a lot of time because they did have a public defender. And I can address that head on because coming from the neighborhood, I know the things that they say about public defenders. I know the stigma that public defenders have. And I said to myself, well, not only will I be a public defender, but I will be a great public defender, and I will help break that stigma. Because the fact of the matter is, most people who get arrested do not have the funds to hire their own attorney. That's just the fact of it. Majority of the citizens in America do not have enough money to hire their own attorney. So I was like, I really want to break that stigma because I could see that it was hurting, brown and black people and people of a certain economic status, or power structure or lack thereof the power structure. So I knew that that's the kind of work that I would always do. In my approach as a public defender, I have pretty much a holistic approach to my practice because when you're dealing with someone's liberty, even with something as simple as a traffic ticket, which most people, I think, see firsthand. I think people see traffic tickets firsthand. And here in the state of Nevada, a traffic ticket can spiral out of control. You can miss a court date, get a warrant, get the warrant fees, can't get out of the warrant fees, then your registration is suspended. Then your insurance is suspended. Now you have no driver's license, registration, and insurance suspended. You're driving or you're trying to get to work or get where you have to go. You get stopped. You're in custody. You land in front of the wrong justice of the peace or the wrong judge, you could stay in custody for 10 days. Well, a lot of people just can't take 10 days off of work. You take 10 days off of work, you may lose your job.
Not to mention, you might have already lost your car. That could have led to you losing your job and not being able to pay for your court, or not being able to pay to be locked up even.
Exactly. So now we have this whole thing spiraling out of control with an ordinary citizen, right? An ordinary citizen who just forgot a date. We all have forgotten dates. I know I have. We've all forgotten dates on payments. You like, oh my God, my card note, my credit, whatever it is. You just like, oh, I forgot to pay that. Let me do it right now. And sometimes those things happen. And I think a lot of times when people see warrant, and they know that means you could be arrested, they get scared, and rightfully so, because being detained, arrested, having your liberty restricted in any capacity is scary, right? It's scary. Yeah. It's not a very welcoming situation, and you know, it's just not a good feeling. So I think, you know, based upon all of that, that's how I got into this work. As I am being a chief deputy public defender, I would be in court all the time, and I would see things that I did not like and I thought were being wrong. And I thought judges were, I seen that judges were not following the law. So I decided to not keep complaining about it, but I decided to put my name on the ballot. And here we are today, about 25 days out from the election.
Yes.
And I decided to put my name on the ballot in the community that raised and molded me into the person I am today. Because to whom much is given, much is expected and required. And North Las Vegas is a big part of who I am, and, you know, how scrappy I am, actually. Because I grew up here, and this is the community that made me, and I owe it all back to them. So I put my name on the ballot this year for November 3rd, 2020. And I'm Belinda T. Harris, and that stands for BTH. Those are actually my initials, and it stands for being bold, tough, and honest. And so here I am doing this work. I've always done the work because, like I said, as a public defender, you pretty much take a holistic approach to your practice and making sure that, you know, each person you stand with, whether it's a traffic ticket or it's a homicide, that they get treated equally, fairly, and everybody's given a fair shake. And that's all that it's about.
And there's something really special, too, about the fact that that's your area of town that you grew up in, that you were raised in. That's truly your heart. That's, you know, your neighbors, your family. And I think that, you know, for me, being in that type of situation, I can feel how that would inform my decisions at looking people as, these are my neighbors. These are the people that I grew up with, rather than judging them based on, you know, like what they've done, or, you know, not taking that holistic approach. I think a lot of us could benefit from judges that are in that position. You know?
I think so too. I mean, the judicial canons say that judges are supposed to be in the community. And I always say to myself, how can a judge apply the law fairly if they have no understanding of what the person standing before them is going through or where they're coming from? Just recently, the National Judicial College did a survey, and speaking of judges, and a lot of the judges admitted that there is an inherent bias in the criminal justice system. And the problem is, are we letting that inherent bias affect our decision making?
Right.
And, you know, there are some people who don't even want to admit that it exists. And we all have inherited biases. And if you say you don't, you're not telling the truth. We all have an inherent bias, you know, whether, you know, we look at a person and judge them based on the color of their skin, or maybe their outfit, or tattoos, or piercings, or haircuts, or hair color, or their glasses, or, you know, we all have them. I mean, it is what it is. And we have to admit that we have them, have these bold, tough, and honest conversations, right? Where we're not letting it affect our judgment process when we have been placed with this amount of power, right? Because when you're asking people to vote for you and put you in these seats, you're saying, trust me because I'm going to do the right thing. And everybody's not doing the right thing because some people are abusing their power, and some people are placating to those who have a power structure. And I think we've been seeing a lot of that over the last year. I think it's been in everybody's face because we've been having to stay home and watch television and play on our phones. So
yeah, and I think there's a lot of that, and I think there's a lot of for me, it's been a lot of like introspection, and that can only go so far. But it's about getting. There's a difference between living in a neighborhood and being involved in the community. And I feel like when you come from a place, sometimes we have to go out there and learn new things, but then to be able to come home to some place that's familiar and take and bring that all of your knowledge and experience with you is really something that I feel like is rare in our representation. But I also feel like over the last 4 years, there have been more people like yourself that are just, regular people that want to do good and see the problems and, just want to be part of creating a change to get to the point where we are actually people representing people in our neighborhoods.
Correct. Because representation does matter too, right? And I think that another thing that's happening is the confidence and the trust in the system is really low.
Yeah.
And so we have to restore that. If we don't restore that, very soon we will be in even more grave trouble, in my opinion. And so I think that that's also part of the problem is that, that's another reason why I'm running, because if we don't restore and get this confidence and trust back in the system where people are just going to feel like, I just want a fair shake. And that's what I feel like. I feel like most people just want to be treated fairly. They want to be heard. And because, as a litigator, there are some judges who I love to practice in front of who oftentimes rule against me, but I know why they're ruling against me. And that makes a big difference. It's kind of like when your parents put you on some type of restriction or punishment, right? Why you got your phone taken. Your mom just doesn't come in and take the phone, or your dad or your big sister to the youth. Why? You're like, oh yeah, I messed up in school, or I did get that grade, or I got caught ditching, or whatever the case may be. But it's not just a random, I got my phone took.
Right. So I mentioned that there's all these judges running. Is what's energizing you about the judicial landscape, and what's happening right now?
Well, I think one thing that's pretty remarkable that happened, which is sad but remarkable, is RBG died, right? She passed away. May she rest in power. But with her passing, I think that this showed to everyone how the judge matters, how important the judge is. In our country, most major decisions and anything that gets changed or happen comes from a court case.
Yeah.
From education to civil rights to who you can marry, to all of the different rights, to gay marriage, to even interracial marriage back with Loving versus Virginia, school board versus education. Everything that happens is always being with a court case. So I think that it showed exactly how the judge matters. My saying is I've been telling people to start at the bottom of your ballot, because you just don't get to be a Supreme Court justice, right? That's just not, you just don't wake up, go to law school and be like, I'm Supreme Court justice. No, you have to be a judge on a local level, right? Mm-hmm. You have to do work and have an outstanding record to even be considered to be appointed, right? And then that's how you become a Supreme Court justice. So the fact that I think that everybody is now seeing that. I always say my name, my race is the last race on the ticket on my ballot. So I tell people to start at the bottom, because if you don't start at the bottom, you cannot get to the top. we already know what's going on at the top of the ballot, right? Because
Right.
we're being inundated with it. Everybody knows what's going on at the top of the ballot. It's no secret. Everybody knows. Everybody has an opinion about it. Everybody's talking about it. We're all getting messages about it. Everybody knows what's happening at the top of the ballot. You are more likely to come in contact with your justice of the peace or a police officer than you are anybody at the top of that ballot. So it's very important to know the people who are on a local level who are actually making the decisions that will affect your everyday life here in Clark County. These are the people who will affect your decisions, everyday life in Clark County, not the people at the top of the ballot. Not that they're not important. I'm not saying that they're not important. I am not saying that they are not important. Let me repeat that. That is just as important. But what I am saying is that local elections matter, and they matter because these are the things that do with our everyday lives. These are the people that you will be interacting with, because your local judge is in fact your neighbor, is in fact the person you go to church with, is in fact the person that you working out at the gym with, is in fact got the kid on the soccer team or the little league team that you're playing on. So your local elections are just as important. Additionally, I always say to people, if I can't even win at home, how do we have any hope to have any different kind of Supreme Court justices? Because you have to be able to win local elections or get well, here in Clark County, we're elected. So how, if we can't even take care of home, we can't talk about what's happening in DC and you don't know what's happening in Clark County.
Right.
You know? So as I tell people, while I do not endorse any candidate because I cannot as a judicial candidate, but right here in Clark County right now, we have our own Supreme Court battle going on.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally, there are two candidates vying for a seat in the Nevada Supreme Court. The Nevada Supreme Court makes decisions that control and dictate, and I'm using the words control and dictate because the rule of laws that they hand down are what's to be followed here in the state of Nevada. We have our own Supreme Court issue going on right here, right now in Clark County. So that's just another example of why I say local elections matter. Because we have these same issues that we're talking about nationally happening right here now in Clark County. So start at the bottom of your ballot, do your research. I always tell people, everybody nowadays really much has a smartphone. These phones are mini computers. You can do anything on this phone, right? I mean, look at us. We're having a full-blown conversation. Look at us. These phones are mini computers. Pull up Ballotpedia. Right?
Yeah, it's a good one.
Put up Ballotpedia. That's a good one. You can go to the Clark County webpage and pull up people's websites. We're always all on social media, right? A lot of these campaigns, especially because of COVID, are virtual. So go on a person's social media page. Are they engaged? Are they acting with the community? Do you see what their hobbies are, what their likes are? Are they getting any awards? Are they cracking any funny jokes? Or, just see who the person is. Because I always say, today I went to speak, and I have it right here. Today I went to speak at a law firm here in town early this morning. And one of their practicing values was Dara La Carta, Dara La Carta, which translates to show me your face. And basically they were saying in their law firm that the clients get to see and talk to the lawyers and the people who are working on their case. You have to be able to see my face. You have to know who I am, what I stand for. And none of us are perfect, right? So you're not going to find a perfect candidate that you love 100%. But you might find one that you agree with most of the time, or believe that they have your best interest, even if you don't agree with them. So nobody's perfect in that sense. But that's one of the things I always tell people. Just put their name in your social media. If you have a question about Belinda T. Harris, go on Facebook, pull me up. You'll see I'm always posting. I'm a goofball at times, and other times I'm serious. I'm just a person. And I'm living my life like a person.
I just think that to me, a sense of humor goes a long way. For so many years, I've been so, I mean, probably more starstruck about senators and congress people than I was about like movie stars and musicians. And now I have a little bit of a different perspective on that. But like, if I don't see, like, if it's just, never cracking a smile, that really is a sign for me that, like, are you even real? Come on.
Right.
Like, I'm a pretty serious person, but I can smile every once in a while and appreciate a joke,
Right.
or appreciate like messing up.
Right. Are you even engaged? Right. Or do you think that this is just your seat to have? Is that sense of entitlement? Are you even engaging? Right. Are you even saying, I want your vote and this is why? Right. Are you even around to be talked to or found or asked a question or give a resource to the community or gathering information? Are you doing any of those things? So I always think that's important too, because
I do too. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but
because we're serving people, and so you can't be so disconnected and disengaged with the people that you're serving. That we can't, because we are serving people.
Right.
That's what we're here for.
I totally agree with you. So, what? I'm just gonna ask this last question, but there's a lot of like I mentioned, a lot of something that is not always common is having public defenders run. And so there's a lot of public defenders actually running. We've been talking a lot about getting in the community, being in the community, understanding the needs of real people out there. So what does it say to you that there are so many public defenders running?
I'm super proud of it, actually. I think that it's awesome because I think it brings a different perspective to the bench. I think it brings diversity, inclusion, and just a different perspective. Not only are there a lot of public defenders running, there's a lot of Black women running here in Clark County as well.
Yeah.
Something else that's never happened. So I think that all of these different things are going to bring a different perspective to the bench. And I hope that it balances the bench out. And I hope that, I hope we all win our elections and then the judges will be our colleagues and we can have these bold, tough, and honest conversations, right? Because then certain people who probably never looked at me as their peer or their equal, I'll be standing next to them. So they will have to speak to me, and I will have to speak with them. And I think that will bring about a different kind of education as well to the bench, a different type of application. So I think that it is really awesome because public defenders usually don't run. And Black women usually don't run either because it's a very gruesome, hard, and people are mean, just straight up. People are mean as hell. For what reason, I am not sure. A lot of it's internet activism anyways. I always be like, well, if your internet got cut off, what would you do? But that's another story. But it's super hard. It's really hard. But this is the moment for which we have been created. And we are out here and we are doing it. And so I think, like I said, the diversity, the inclusion, the different perspective, the balancing of the bench, there is no amount of courtroom experience that anybody can match as a public defender because we're on the front lines. We're standing
of everything.
We're standing with people who society has deemed unworthy, right? But we're also standing with that kid who's 18 years old, who's at EDC having a great time, who's in college, who the wrong sentence or the wrong plea can put their life out of control, right?
Yeah.
And we're there all the time. We're on the front lines all the time, continuously doing complex litigation, dealing with experts, preparing for trials, litigating motions, going in and out of the courthouse into different courtrooms. There is no level of experience for that. And another thing about being a public defender is, we have redefined winning, because a lot of times we're not just getting slam dunk not guilties, but we are still winning and doing a great service to the community and making sure that people are getting represented and their rights. The government is being checked, right? Because that's what it's about, protecting and defending the Constitution. And that's what we're doing, having that system of checks and balances, because once one person's rights is violated, then we're all in trouble. We can't have that.
Absolutely.
We can't have that. So I think that, it's amazing. This year has been untraditional and unorthodox on many ways, with public defenders and COVID and civil unrest. It's been a challenge, and it's been different on so many levels, but we're still here. We're only about 25 days out. I don't know how many days, because every day
something like that. Not long now, coming. Little Smurfs.
Yes, not long now. So I think that that's also pretty awesome.
Yeah, I love your perspective about everybody winning those elections and being able to have those conversations, because and it goes back to you working in the community that you were raised in. It's one thing to look at statistics or have opinions or think about what's going on with people, but it's another to have that actual human interaction and to be able to humanize somebody, to empathize. I mean, I think that human connection creates an empathy that's at a deeper level than just knowing what's out there.
I would completely agree. And a lot of times, perfect example, it's been COVID, and some clients were told to do community service. And it's like, we want them to do their community service, but things have been shut down. And everybody doesn't have, I won't even talk about that. I'll talk about the schools, right? We're seeing with education that a lot of kids did not have Chromebooks or access to get Chromebooks. And then once they got the Chromebooks, they didn't have the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So everybody's not on that same playing field and even trying to get their education in public school, right?
Well, yeah, and speaking of that, there's a couple of spots for trustees this term too. Because and I'm not saying anything against anybody, because I'm nonpartisan in this position too, but maybe if we would have looked forward and considered the fact that we may not have an opening, instead of and taking care of some of those problems looking forward, instead of being reactive, if we were a little proactive, I think in government at large, we'd have a much better flow to our society and meet the needs of more of our citizens.
And that goes back to starting at the end of your ballot. I'm the last race, but the school boards are there, the trustees, the school boards, they're right above my name. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all these different things on the ballot at the end of the ballot that once again directly affect you and how you will live in Clark County.
Yep. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anything else you want to mention or put out there?
No,
any events coming up?
Start at the bottom of your ballot. Ballotpedia is a good source. Clark County Elections is a good source. Social media, you're on your phones anyway. Social media, Instagram, Facebook, all of those things are great to look at, to see who people are and their stance and who they're endorsed by, and their affiliations and what they're into. And my name is Belinda T. Harris, and I just want to make sure that we are educated, encouraged, and empowered to vote.
Right on. Awesome. Thanks again. We'll see you soon, hopefully.
See you soon, sister.
All right. Bye. Bye-bye. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much. And we'll have another discussion on activism and what's coming up. And we'll see you next Friday. Again, if you want to check out Belinda T. Harris, Belinda for Judge on Instagram. And really, I'll reiterate, look into those races, start at the bottom of the ballot. Don't forget, we want to vote yes on 2. And Ballotpedia is a great place to look at what that is and why we're voting on that. But basically, we need to change the wording in the Nevada Constitution to allow all gender marriages. We do have those protections now. We want to make sure that if anything happens in the future, that we continue to have marriage protections for people of all genders. Okay, so that's it for now. If there's any young people out there that want to join our HIV prevention board, contact us here and let us know, and we'll send you that information. We meet the last Thursday of every month, and we would love your participation if you're between the ages of 18 and 24. And we'll see you next week. Thanks. Bye.